it sort of sounds like this. Nope, no strange looks from one strange look from the other vehicle. So it sounds like somebody using a bow saw, hence the name sawing, leopard sawing. And it can be quite loud. I mean, it'll cover a good couple of kilometers, unless the wind is blowing it away from you. So that both leopard males and females do it. It's a way of marking territory. It's just like a lion roaring. It's their equivalent. And to see it, to actually have a leopard sawing next to you is really a truly special experience. And I hope that as you become regular Safari Live addicts, as I have no doubt that you will join us for some of those magic moments. I mean, we've had Tingana sawing right next to the vehicle. We've had Karula sawing next to the vehicle. She's been... I was going to say she's been more silent. I don't know if that's entirely fair. We haven't heard her as often just because I think she's spent a bit more time to the south of her territorial region. And she still comes up to the north every now and again and saws away, making sure that any other females in the area know that this is not available. This is her territory. So all of our leopards do it. One of the things that we've got to see with leopards and with lions and hyena, with lions, when the lions start to roar, the cubs start to join in. It's adorable. They all start going. I'm not going to make any more strange noises. I'm getting embarrassed now. And with hyena, we've also seen them do it. I don't know if cast your mind back to that amazing moment that I think it was Kirsty reminded me of, where November, one of the hyena cubs, was learning to whoop and was doing these adorable little imitations of the adults going, ooh, ooh. It was very clearly imitation behavior. So the line of thought that I'm following is I've never seen a leopard cub try it. I've never ever seen a leopard cub try and imitate the adults, but then I suppose the adults tend not to soar when they're with their cubs, just in terms of not drawing attention to them. They tend to be out and about on their own, not being restricted by little bumbling cubs playing around them. And it's just an interesting thought that the more social creatures, the cubs start to imitate the adults very quickly, whereas in a solitary leopard, they don't. I don't know, do any of you know of any examples of baby leopards or leopard cubs trying to soar? I'd be fascinated to hear if you do. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I've certainly never seen it. She's managed to get hold of the spinal column and is now using her spurred tongue to strip away the meat from the bone and combining it with the carnassial shears. Well, I think it is time for us to say goodbye to the royal family. There is another vehicle on its way. I'll try and get back here before the end of the sunset safari, but while we make our way out, let's head back across to Brent.
Cuckoo! Still no cuckoos, but we're still on the search. We're on our way towards the Mawati River. Now, what cuckoo species we're looking for down there is the black cuckoo. I'm so sad. We are looking for the Deirdre's cuckoo. I can't really whistle that one. Deirdre. We are looking for the classes cuckoo. Mikey, which means friend in Afrikaans. We're looking for the thick-billed cuckoo, which is sort of sounds like a Deirdre's cuckoo that might have stayed up a little bit too late in a house of ill repute. Maybe not quite like that, but the thick-billed cuckoo, and of course the red-chested cuckoo. I'm not even going to attempt a Le Valence or a striped cuckoo or a Jacobin, but we are on a cuckoo hunt. And will we find a cuckoo? Hopefully we'll find more than just Dave and myself going, cuckoo, cuckoo, for the rest of drive. Now, when looking for cuckoos, it's always good to look high up in the tree. Is that a cuckoo, Dave? I don't think so. What's that at the top of the tree, Dave? Not that way. Is it a red-billed buffalo weaver? Not a cuckoo. And it's a flying red-billed buffalo weaver. I wonder what other birds we'll encounter on our search for a cuckoo. Oh, it's something. I shouldn't have a look at something.
Yeah, Ellies, are you still heading with it?
No.
Out. You can go.
Sorry about the open comms. We are still trying to fix our new communication system. Although I will tell you, FC sounds quite amusing with the digital radio. Kirsten sounds like she's about 94. And knitting. I just did a no. Sounds like she's knitting in between talking to us on the radio. Okay, so cuckoos like to sit quite high in trees, and one of the reasons they've arrived in force at the moment is because of this little bit of rain. So their favorite food is caterpillars. So inchworms and caterpillars are the different moth and butterfly species. So that's what they're in search for. And sometimes you can even see them with sort of 5 caterpillars in their mouth. They're real greedy gutsers, cuckoos. Of course, they are brood parasites. Now, if you don't know what a brood parasite is, actually, why don't one of you guys out there tell me what a brood parasite is? If you know what a brood parasite is, send the answers through to #SafariLive on Twitter or questions at WildEarthTV. What is a brood parasite? Well, let's hope we can find some cuckoos, because we're not finding any elephants, that's for sure. Wow, thank you very much, Joanne in Arizona. There's an African cuckoo that's been calling around the Djuma pan, and so we might have to take a meander up towards the Djuma camp and the Djuma pan to see if we can find the elusive African cuckoo. Of course, we also get European cuckoos here. Now, they look very similar to the African cuckoo. You've got to look at their bills to differentiate them. And of course, they are silent. They don't go cuckoo. Thank you, Dave. They do go cuckoo when they're back home in Europe, but in Africa they're silent. Dave thought I was trying to catch him out there. Now, one of the reasons the black cuckoo are around a river system like the Mawati is because... Oh no, I nearly gave away the answer to things. Oh, quiet, Leo Smith. Ears out. Do we hear any cuckoos? Oxpeckers, go-away birds, doves, bush shrikes, boo-boo shrikes. But not a cuckoo in sight. Wow, they were so noisy earlier on. I'm hoping they're just having a quick rest, a quick rehabilitation before coming out blaring. Well done, Dina. Spot on. 100% correct. A brood parasite, which all the cuckoos are, will kick out the eggs of the host bird species, then lay their own and get the other birds to raise their babies for them. Now, the reason I said the black cuckoo likes river systems like the Mawati is its host species in this part of the world is the southern boo-boo, which is a shrike that lives around the riverine thickets. So the black cuckoos are always in search of a boo-boo. Okay, we are now in the Moati River. Seems like there have been some buffalo down here. And we can hear, not a cuckoo, but nevertheless a very beautiful bird. Let's see if we can spot it. Coffee, tea or me? Coffee, tea or me? The orange-breasted bushshrike. Sounds like he's up ahead there somewhere. Oh, look at this. This is the first sign. It was a bit early, but this is the first sign I've seen of elephants digging up in the Moati. I think the water table is still a little bit low for that. And we can hear very clearly that orange-breasted bushshrike. Of course, now he keeps quiet. Let's go through a bit. Of course, if we're in the Moati River, we might as well look for the nemesis bird. It's such a nemesis, I don't even want to say its name. Dave, what are we looking for?
White-throated robin.
Chat. Yes, the white-throated robin chat. We've only managed to get on camera once. So this is where I would... There he is. As I said, where that orange-breasted bushshrike is. Okay. Lower. A little bit lower. A little bit higher. In that little thicket there. Just wait for the movement. There he is. Well spotted. There's the beautiful orange-breasted bushshrike we heard calling. The one who says, coffee, tea or me? Obviously my impression doesn't do it justice. Oh, to the left, left, left. Hopefully it'll show us the reason it's got that name. It's got an absolutely stunning, striking breast. Don't be shy now. Now they are a shy species. They are, whoops, there we go. There you can see the orange. They are what we call a skulking species. So they're generally in thickets around the rivers, and they hop around like this one's doing, giving Dave a hard time. Where did it hop to, Dave? It's hopped out of view. Bye, orange-breasted bushshrike. There you go. Nice to spot it, especially after hearing it calling. So while we continue our search for the elusive cuckoos of Djuma, Jamie's got something a bit bigger and a bit smellier.
Well, as Brent said, a little bit smellier, but not in a bad way. They just smell like a herd of cattle moving through the area. We didn't have far to go from Karula before we stumbled upon this buffalo herd on their way to Treehouse Dam for a drink. I've found myself behind them. I'm going to have to just wait as they steadily, slowly but surely make their way towards the dam. But we'll keep pace with them and catch up with them when they go and have a drink. It's a tiny herd. There's probably only, unless there's more ahead of me that I'm not aware of, there's probably only about, I would say, 30, probably even less individuals in this breeding herd, which suggests to me almost immediately that it's one of the splinter groups that we've been seeing. Now, essentially what happens very often when buffalo get chased at night by lions, it's panic, pandemonium. They don't know where their others are, they can't catch up with them, their herding instinct sticks with them, so they stay with whoever's running in front of them. And as a result, they often end up completely separated from the rest of the herd, which is why it's not uncommon to occasionally find one or two females on their own completely with a group of males, for example, or just this little herd that we have here. And that, I think, is where this group's come from. I'm just checking them out because we've become accustomed to doing that with each and every buffalo herd that we see. They're not in terrible condition. Some of them are a little bit thin, but we have seen some buffalo herds that are looking far, far worse. So this herd is amongst some of the luckier ones, I think, that perhaps managed to find themselves some okay food to feed off. Ah, there's more here. Some of them have already been for a drink. Here we go. A big old female walking along. You can still see them browsing every now and again. So, in other words, eating the leaves from trees instead of their usual diet of just grass. That's because, well, there's not very much in the way of grass to sustain them. And the rest of them coming out of Treehouse Dam, those that have already managed to have a drink. There's some very nice looking young bulls as well, like the one on the left. He's going to be a fine specimen when he's fully grown. The younger buffalo tend to have less in the way of a skin condition. They've also got a reddishy brown tinge to their coats that starts to darken as they get older. So that, for example, is a youngish female. I say youngish, I couldn't give you an exact age without asking her to open wide and having a look at her teeth. But she's probably only maybe a couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years at the most. Okay, so there's more than I thought. Quite a lot more than I thought. We must have just caught up with the stragglers at the back. Now there's a whole load of them coming out of Treehouse Dam. Well, speaking about ages of buffalo, here's an oldish female keeping a very close eye on me. You can see she's quite dark in colour, and she's lost most of the fur around her face. Hello, old girl. She just looks as though she's been through the wars a little bit. Those balding patches are often caused by fungal infections or other skin infections, but can also be caused by rubbing their faces to scratch itchy spots against trees and branches and various rubbing posts. She's standing ruminating. Wow, okay. I take back what I said about there being 30 individuals. Oh, there's a beautiful buffalo. Very deep, rich colour.
You have to come back. I'm pulling out. So thank you very much. It's mark on lock now.
Copy that, thanks very much. There's Nyala here at Treehouse Dam. Slowly mobile north. All kinds of faces popping up. Okay. Right, so we'll take back our previous estimate of under 20 and go with something probably closer to about 50 buffalo moving about this area. I'm not going to do a head count, if you'll forgive me. That might take us a little bit of time. I'm going to reposition to see if there's any more drinking on the other side. I'm trying not to block the group that still hasn't had a drink yet. Hello. Hello, Flows. I love the way that buffalo look at you. I wouldn't call their expression inquisitive, but it is watchful. Yes, you're also going to be a fine young male when you're bigger. If you manage to escape the Nkuhumas. Not a bad-looking boy at all. Now, speaking of the Nkuhumas, just in terms of distance, this herd of buffalo is probably about, I would say, a good 2 kilometers away from where the Nkuhumas are now. So the Nkuhumas would be completely unaware of their presence. That being said, a herd of buffalo is not a stealthy unit. There's usually a lot more noise than we're hearing now. There's a lot of mooing, a lot of sort of calling to each other, lots of braying, and then of course the cracking and the breaking of branches as they move through an area, which is generally what will attract the attentions of the lionesses or the lion prides of the area. And you never know, we haven't accounted for all of the Birmingham boys, so there could well be one moving behind this herd. And welcome to Leon, who is a new viewer and watching these buffalo in the herd. He wants to know, would a buffalo feel more lonely or vulnerable if it was alone than if it were with the rest of the herd? And yes, absolutely they do. Typically the females are always found in some kind of herd, usually in a breeding herd of multiple buffalo, often up to 1,000 in number. Did he stick his horns in wet paint or something? That looks bizarre. This is rubbed bare patches. From a distance, it looks as though they were that splodges were almost white.
The paint's coming off and it's steel.
Yes, it is. It's like it's peeling back, and he's got steel underneath his horns. I'm sorry, Leon. I got distracted. Oh, a little bit of a tiff between two females there. That's what I was talking about. That sort of moof sound from the different buffalo. Leon. The one thing that you will find, though, is what we refer to in South Africa as dugger boys. And they will be on their own, and they often prefer their own solitude or their own company. And they're either found in small herds or they're found on their own, resting in mud wallows. And that's one of the things that makes them probably one of the most dangerous animals to encounter on foot, is the fact that because they are alone, they're easily startled, and they are quite aggressive when they are frightened like that. So it's old buffalo bulls that have left the protection of the herd, have decided they prefer their own company, like these two who are randomly going off in the wrong direction. I think perhaps they're just going to treehouse for a drink. So dugger boy means mud boy, from their habit of lying in the mud wallows themselves. So they're the only buffalo that you will find on their own, but as I said, it does really make them feel... I don't want to block off this buffalo's path. It does make them feel more vulnerable, and as a result, often more defensive in terms of their behavior. Now this buffalo is about to drink. And if we want to just sit and watch that quickly as the two of them come down. Not quite the spectacle of the teeming herds making their way down towards a waterhole, though. And Treehouse Dam, despite our downpour, is looking decidedly depleted. There they go. Oh, here comes a little calf, trotting forward. As they are incredibly water-dependent creatures. They need to drink every day, and if they can, they'll drink twice a day, in the morning and then in the afternoon as well. Helps to aid their digestive system. They do not do well in arid areas. In fact, you generally don't find them in arid areas. Here we go, 3 different age groups, and one male at the back, one female in the middle, and then a tiny little male calf. Probably only about a year old. Okay, we're going to move on, see if we can catch up with Tingana, if indeed it was Tingana moving about when I heard him call. I just don't think that Karula would have been the one to call right next to her kill. So while I go and investigate that, let's head back over to Brent and find out how his cuckoo search is going.
Cuckoo! Dave, you missed your cue. Dave, you missed your cue. I'm so disappointed in you, Dave. So disappointed. So very disappointed. Anyway, we did hear a cuckoo, one we haven't seen yet this year. And again, it flew off. A Deirdre's cuckoo. Oh, is that a Deirdre? Oh, it is. I think it is. Oh dear, it's just through the most terrible thicket. It was a Deirdre's cuckoo. A very pretty cuckoo. I will play his song for you. Very pretty song. One that I'm sure quite a few of you will recognize from last rainy season. I think the best chance is going to be through cuckoos. Very pretty bird as well. That is that Deirdre's cuckoo. Oh. Okay, guys. No, I saw it land in there, but right at the back. Well, he's disappeared. So we have to keep saying cuckoo. And well done, Dave. You got it time. And as I said, he's a very pretty bird. There we go, emerald and white with a very distinct orange eye. So that's the male. There's the female. These cuckoos are just being cuckoo today. Dave thought that was funny. I thought that was quite a bad joke. I mean, it got Dave to laugh at least. So I think we're going to have to start making our way back towards the Djuma dam camp, see if that African cuckoo is still cuckooing around there. Now, I'll tell you a funny story about cuckoos and James Henry. Now, one of James Henry's favorite things to do to new safari guides. So you had to do a thing called an assessment drive, which is possibly the most terrible and terrifying thing you could ever do to a trainee guide. Can you imagine having 8 or 9 of us sitting behind you, firing questions, jumping off the back? I hear a cuckoo. Pit me through. Now, interesting about that is a red-chested cuckoo. I'm going to try find it now. This is the very spot where we see our nemesis bird, but never managed to get it on camera, the white-throated robin chat. And the red-chested cuckoo is one of his brood parasites. So they actively look out for different robins to lay their eggs in the robin's nest, even though they are twice the size of a robin. Okay, Dave. Oh, he's taunting us! Back into the Mawati we go. One more cuckoo for luck. 1, 2, 3. Cuckoo! Don't fly away, please. I can't keep going cuckoo for the rest of the drives. That's the agreement we have. So we put a cuckoo on the screen. We have to keep going cuckoo. It sounded like it was calling from these copse of trees here. Why did you stop calling? We'll go on the little 2-track out. Maybe our luck will change there. So I was telling you a story about James. Now, one of James's favorite things to do to trainee guides was, you know, when you're supposed to go at the beginning of the safari, you go, welcome guys, how are you? What would you like to see? Would you like to see lions or leopards or elephants? And of course, these poor children are absolutely pooping themselves. I mean, they got sort of 9 senior staff sitting behind them, probably all of which, including the lodge managers, have probably spent more time in the bush than they have at this case. They've just finished their training course. And James's favorite question when asked what he wanted to see on the safari, he would say, I want to see cuckoos. And then of course the nerves would take over, and this poor little safari guide would be trying to do his best to use all the information he's got about impala or a zebra or a tree or a blade of grass. And then it comes to the end of the drive in the feedback session. James goes, not once did you show me a cuckoo. And they would feel so horrible and horrified. But I'm beginning to feel a bit like them today, because we can't seem to find the cuckoos. We can hear them. Of course, James also used to ask this question in the middle of winter where there wasn't a cuckoo present. elephants have knocked over the tree across the road, so we have to go around the termitaria. Elephants have been doing a lot of road rearranging recently, and we've had to do a lot of rounding the roads. But it has. Let me just go forward a bit. Now, of course, the cuckoos have gone silent. Can you hear sunbirds? Now, Marianne is wondering when the weavers, Marianne's in Arkansas, when the weavers will start making their lovely bald nests. It all depends on local rainfall, etc. The buffalo weavers have already started, so have the red-headed weavers, but I think you're talking about the masked weavers that generally nest over water. So I think it's still a while, still probably another month they might. It is not, no it's not, I don't think it is. It is of course a starling, and it is a lesser blue-eared starling. A greater blue-eared starling, sorry. Oh, up there. Quickly, Dave, quickly. Is it a cuckoo? Let us look. It is not, it is a wattled starling. Oh dear. Male wattled starling, where's the rest of your flock? You're not supposed to be hanging around solo. Oh dear. These cuckoos. And we can't even hear any calling. Okay, we've got to at least get the African cuckoo on camera today. Oh, elephants, why do you keep making this road so difficult? Okay. Let us head towards the pan to look for the African cuckoo. Now, of course, I'm hoping we stumble across any other cuckoos on the way. Now, in particular, I'm really after two cuckoo species, the great spotted that evaded us earlier, and of course, the thick-billed, which will also be another nice one. Now, there is a cuckoo that has been seen in the Sabi Sands very few times, and it is one of the most difficult of the cuckoos to see. It is also one of the most beautiful of the cuckoos. It is, of course, the African emerald cuckoo. There's only a handful of recordings of them in the low veldt. They generally prefer to be a bit higher. Now, they have a call as well. Pretty, Georgie. Very pretty. Now, that coloration on them makes it incredibly difficult. So let me just stop it. To spot. You wouldn't believe how that sort of coloration absolutely makes them disappear in a big green tree, especially in a forest. So they're one of the hardest of the cuckoo species to see. Okay, let's keep moving. Did you get any messages there, Dave? I just heard static. Okay, moving. Okay, while we try and continue our search for cuckoos, let's go across to someone who's certainly not as cuckoo as Dave and myself.
And enjoy the rest of the sunset safari with her. As I said, there's a good chance she's not going to be around for tomorrow. Maybe the sunrise safari, probably not the sunset safari, unless she decides to stay on Djuma. I think it's worth spending as much time as we possibly can. I haven't had any luck with any leopard tracks, so I don't know if maybe the leopard was calling further than I realized. Maybe Tingana didn't walk on the roads. That is a mystery that I think will only be solved perhaps tonight if you keep your eye on the Djuma Dam camera, since that is a regular pathway that Tingana walks. He often goes past, it's on his regular territorial marking route, his patrol route. So keep an eye on the Djuma Dam camera tonight. There's a chance he might show up. He's sort of been missing in action for a little while. A couple of days ago he was on Buffle's hook and we hadn't heard anything more since. Hopefully he decides to pay us a visit soon. Right. I haven't gone very far this afternoon, but I'm definitely not complaining. Let's pop in back and see what Karula's up to. Just bear with me a second. I just need to check if Mike is still there. Mike for Jamie.
Standing by, Jamie.
Mike, did you leave that Ingwe lock?
Hey, firm. I left one station on lock, Jamie.
Copy that, thank you. Station with the Ingwe for Jamie. Copy that, thanks very much. So again, same process as earlier. She might be hunting something, I don't know. So it's important to just double check that it's appropriate for us to go in before we do. And you'll see it do it with all of the sightings that we go and visit. Okay. Oh, wonderful. Looks like we might have 2 leopards in a tree. Maybe perhaps finally Hosanna, after his disastrous attempts from earlier, has decided to come up and try feeding now that Mom's fixed the mess he made. That's not Hosanna at all. Sorry, I'm just trying to think. Let me go forward a little bit. We'll get Karula and Shongile by the looks of it. Karula's obviously finished enjoying her meal, and now her little daughter's tucking in. Although thoroughly irritated by the flies. What a beautiful image that is. A bit of a walk. Here we go. You can see little one in a much better position than her brother when we last saw him feeding. She's found herself the perfect spot. Oopsie daisy, careful. Or perhaps not much less precarious, but still definitely much improved. Gib, while we watch our leopards finish off what's left of their impala meal, you want to know how long does it take a leopard to finish their prey. It depends on what they've killed and how many leopards we're talking about. So if this was just Karula, she'd probably have taken, I would say, a good 3 days, maybe even 4 days to finish off the adult impala. But because she has 2 cubs with her, it's basically, thinking about it, between Hosanna and Shongile, they basically have the appetite of about, well, 1 leopard. So she's basically feeding 2, herself and her 2 cubs. So 1 adult impala lasts only about 2 days. If it's a daker and the leopard is particularly hungry, it can be gone in 20 minutes. A tiny little antelope species. And then again, depends on if we're talking male or female. Obviously the males being, there's a massive sexual dimorphism between male and female leopards, males being much, much larger. So obviously they will, it was quite the thump, Karula. She came down the tree, and she actually gave a little bit of a pant there as well. I think she's looking for her little boy. She gave a gentle chuff. I don't know if she gave a chuff or she just landed heavily. But she did make a sound as she hit the ground. And so, little Princess X is up in the tree, munching on her impala. Let's see if you're any better at this than your brother was earlier. You've got a slight advantage. Mom's managed to pull it into a slightly easier position. But, that being said, Mom's also eaten most of the good bits that were available. And now Shongile is presented with a bit of a problem. Again, She's not going to be strong enough to pull that up, so she just has to try and contort herself across it so that she can feed. There's just one little eye watching us. And on a warm, still day like today, the flies have certainly gathered around that impala. They're irritating her, and those that are displaced from the impala are flying into our vehicle. You can see she's not happy about them. Oh, she runs the risk of causing the same problem her brother did. She just they don't quite have the strength yet. She's going to, the more she feeds on the small bits that are left, the greater the chance that she's actually going to dislodge the carcass once again. For now, though, she's found a relatively good spot. A very round belly hanging over the marula tree that she settled on. And Paul, absolutely, they amaze me too. Paul has said that leopards amaze him with their balance and their climbing ability. Isn't it incredible, especially when you think how young and inexperienced these cubs are? I mean, look, they've been climbing since they were a couple of weeks old and perfecting the art since they were about 2 months old. But look at how dainty that was. Uh-oh. I mean, that takes some serious skill. It's basically, imagine if you had to try and eat your dinner with no knives and forks hanging from a marula tree with your claws. It's not all that easy. Especially since the impala meat's quite tough for tiny teeth and tiny jaws. So it's difficult for them to really get in there properly. Wow. That was an impressive display of strength. She hasn't thought it through though, because that impala ram's horns are going to get stuck. But that was seriously impressive. She nearly got that back into the tree. Yes, go on. Show your brother how it's done. See her levering herself with her back legs. Oh, shame. That was a valiant effort, girl. Sitting down, frustrated, in a way very reminiscent of the way her brother did a little bit earlier. Not to be deterred. That's amazing.
Boogert one Meesie, Gallagher shortcut. Near the old den, looked like she was quite dirty. I don't know if she's established an area there or back there, but yeah, just to update.
Look at her. I'm very impressed with these two leopard cubs. It's not an easy job. And they're managing to perform it relatively admirably. I mean, look at that balance she's demonstrating. Her whole upper body is off the tree completely and resting on the impala carcass. And she's worked out, because it's at a better angle than for her brother earlier, she's worked out that by sort of wedging herself in that fork, she can actually get a good enough grip to feed. Look at how hard her triceps are working to pull that carcass up and towards her mouth. You can actually see them flexing and bulging. It's impressive. Well done, big girl. No way. Oh, so close. Oh, that was so close. You just have to learn to figure out the battle of the horns and the ribcage, girl, and you've got it. Almost. Got a very determined look on her face. Always alert. Right, time to try again. Now hanging almost upside down to feed. Sure, what an exhausting way to eat your dinner. I'm glad I don't have to perform those acrobatics every time it's mealtime. I almost want to go and help her, just pull it up into the tree. But luckily these cubs are very, very well fed. 2 impalas in 4 days plus a deka. They are not going to go hungry. And knowing Karula, she'll be back out on the hunt very, very soon. If you can see the frustration. Look at the way her back leg is contorted to hold herself up there. Oh, such frustration. She's not deterred though. She's going again. And there's actually, there's really no way that she can succeed at doing this. Not because she's not just because she's not strong enough, because obviously she is. She's very nearly done it, but because the horns, oh dear, the horns and the ribcage, just everything's a little bit too badly angled for her to be able to manage it. There's that fork in the tree. And it's going to be really very difficult. While we watch them tuck into their 2-day-old impala, Shelley, yes, absolutely, a leopard will scavenge, and we've seen them do it on a regular basis. My most recent example is actually with Karula and her 2 cubs, where we had the wild dogs dash underneath them, kill an Nyala, finish off most of the Nyala, and then dash off again. And Karula jumped out of the tree and raced across, grabbed the leftovers of the kill, and went and hoisted it next to her bushbuck with such a proud, I don't know, I'm anthropomorphizing a bit, but she really did look exceptionally proud of herself. We've also seen Mvula, on our Father's Day shows, chase hyenas off a buffalo carcass and scavenge from it. We've seen Karula and Tingana scavenge off a buffalo carcass, Shambambalana off a buffalo carcass on Cheetah Plains. So yes, absolutely, leopards are not adverse to scavenging at all. They are more than happy to. A free meal is a free meal, and they're not fussy about rotten meat. Wild dogs and cheetah are slightly fussier about the quality of the meat they eat. They'll still scavenge, but it has to be quite fresh. Leopards and lions have no such problems. So while Shungile struggles again to wrench the carcass back into the tree, let's go across to Brent and see what he's looking at.
Look at this. So we're actually right next to a herd of elephants at the Djuma Pan, but this is not something we see too often. Nyalas actually locking horns. So they generally prefer to have the dance-off, the who's prettier than who competition. And when they do fight, it can get very aggressive. So this is unusual behavior. I don't want to get too close. There you go, you can see the old final control in the background. So Nyala's particularly trying to avoid physical confrontation, and as I said, they try and do that sort of standoff. And we're about isn't looking too serious. I have seen them a bit more serious, but these things can escalate very quickly, especially with animals that don't normally physically encounter each other like this. Penny is wondering, do they have ivory at the tip of their horns? No, it's still keratin, and it's just worn white. Oh, there we go. That was a good spike. The guinea fowl taking no notice. And that noise you hear is an elephant having a scratch. They've just come wider a little bit quickly. See that elephant scratching its bum quickly? I'm just very... I think a good scratch. While the Nyala are more in serious business. Now, that's an elephant with a shortened trunk. It's not the female we normally see though. Oh, the Nyalas are getting a bit more serious again. Now, Lava Boy 23 is wondering, could they ever break their necks? It is possible. It is possible. Normally, oh, there's another one coming in. I'm just going to move forward a bit. You can see we have elephants all around us as well. Hello. Hello, short trunk. A short trunk little male. What's interesting, there looks to be a bigger Nyala bull who might get involved. So we're just going to get ourselves in the right spot. You can see what looks to be a bigger male coming in from the left. Is he going to come sort the little ones out? Okay, the other male's approaching now. Let's see what he does. Oh, he keeps stopping to groom himself on the way. Daniel says that bird, the guinea fowl, is the referee. Oh, I just heard the elephants break the branches next to us. Now, this doesn't look too serious. Now, as I said, these things can escalate very quickly from not so serious to really serious. Now, the reason they're looking up is actually there's a naughty elephant behind us, making a noise that they're not accustomed to, and I'll show you why. That little short trunk Ellie is pulling out the pipe Of course, the African cuckoo I came here to look for is nowhere to be seen or heard. So he was, there we go. So that's a little male that's got a shortened trunk. It's amazing to me how they adapt after having such a horrific injury, and you can see sucking up the water, still playing, still utilizing that incredible trunk. Oh, quickly this side. Sorry, Dave. Now the bigger male just popped up his crest, and those two decided, not worth it. We're out of here. Always thinking about erecting that mane. Are you wanting to challenge? I think you might be a bit of trouble. He looks a bit bigger than you. So apparently you guys are getting some wonderful screenshots of the Nyala. Remember to share them. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or use our Facebook page, or one of the many Djuma junkies or Safari Live fans, all the other Facebook pages made by you. Oh, it looks like the battle is over. But well, we've got the Ellies next to us. They're moving off right in front of the lodge. Feeding off this big knobthorn. And what else is around here? Oh, there's a lone Wildebeest bull. I suppose, there he is. We've named Gnormless Gnorman and Normal Norman. Now, it's more than likely the same lone bull we see on Quarantine and around through to Impala Plains, Sandy Patch. Dave, do you think he needs the name? I think we're going to call him Cuckoo, the wildebeest. There we go, we saw Cuckoo, Dave. His name is Cuckoo, and we've seen a cuckoo. This is now Cuckoo, the wildebeest. Cuckoo! Okay, well, let's go have a look at that short trunk Ellie having a drink. Hello, little man. So it's a young Ellie bull, probably late teens. I haven't seen this little bull before. Donna says, isn't it amazing how Ellies adjust to short trunks? It is absolutely incredible. And they lose that little prehensile tip that is so important. But the animals of Africa are so incredibly adaptable. You're going to go play with the pipe again. Jim Reeves is not going to be impressed with him. See, because he can't grab it with his trunk. Look how he uses his tusk to help him pull it. He's just having fun with it. Aren't you a naughty little fella? What's he doing? He's playing with his feet. He looks like he's having the best time. He's looking a bit guilty. Should I be doing that? Don't know if you could hear that, but you could hear when you let a big breath out, it sounds quite different from what a normal elephant does. Almost like you were blowing into a hose pipe. Still playing with his feet with the pipe, kicking it around. Oh, here we go. You do look naughty. You're coming to be naughty with us. Look at that, looking down his nose at us. Hello, mister. Hello, little man. Oh, sure. What are you up to next? Don't go play with Peter Bright's camera equipment. Alex and Peter and Connor will be very upset with you if you start playing with those things. It looks like you have it in your mind to start playing with those things. Hey. Don't play with that stuff. Naughty. Don't be a naughty. Otherwise, Alex will come down here and you don't want to make the Russian angry. What are you doing? That's Ronald's house. Ronald the Rover's house is now a toy for the elephant. He's giving it a good sniff. Oh no, there's water from the rain on top. He's collecting the rainwater. Isn't that incredible? Nice clean rainwater on Ronald's house. The canvas has collected the water. I take it back. You're not a naughty Ellie. You're a good Ellie. Oh! Ah! Someone turned a light on me. I think it's on a timer. The Djuma pan light just came on and blinded me as I was looking at the elephant. Final controls. Is there any way to turn it off? Oh dear, it's very bright. There's Cuckoo the Wildebeest behind. Obviously, Ronald's house collected quite a lot of water. Oh, Dave, you're in the danger zone. The buffalo weaver's nest's right above you. Do you think we can move forward a bit? Okay, let's try and move out of the light. The blinding light. So you see the rain collected in that canvas roof, and now what he's doing is he's collecting all the water from there. Oh, now are you going to be naughty? Now, don't play with Alex's stuff. Don't put a hole in Ronald's house. Hey. Yeah, stop it. Drink the water. Good boy. Naughty. I'm gonna Have a word with you more seriously now. Yes, leave it alone now. Time. Hey. It's not that interesting. It's time to leave Ronald's house. Good boy. Good boy. And you can see from the dam cam he's moved away a little bit. The naughty little short-trunked elephant. It was just wonderful, wasn't it? It was just the curiosity, and then he found that water. Amazing. Okay, well, while the naughty half-trunked elephant meanders off to join the rest of the herd, there they are. Let's go quickly back to Jamie with the royal family before it gets too dark. Cuckoo!
Speaking of the royal family and darkness, just bear with me one moment. I'm just listening to the sounds of the bush. VM said he can hear alarm calls as Hosanna clambers up the marula tree. What sort of alarm calls, VM? Was it Impala, but only one? And look at the way Hosanna's looking off into the distance. Gone quiet for now. I'm going to keep listening. Oh, little mischief. You know, you've been with Brent and that elephant, and that amazing sighting with him. While you were there, I've been on my way to try and pull out of the sighting, and I stopped for one last look at what they were up to, and Shungile slunk forward and snuck under the front of our vehicle and then perched herself right next to me. You can't actually see how close she came because the camera can't actually go that close. But I peeked around, and she was on the other side of that log, just looking at me. Not about to pounce, just looking. Like she decided that she was perfectly well hidden. It was amazing. It was so sweet. Looking up at us with those bright, curious, and slightly mischievous eyes. In the meantime, her brother's gone back to this fun game that they've been having this afternoon. The Impala is slowly disintegrating into more and more separate bits. And the back end and the spinal column obviously dangling, reaching down to grab it and try and pull it back into the tree. Oh. It's not working out so well, is it, Hosanna? And perhaps you should take some lessons from your sister. Obviously it is getting very dark, and as you know, we don't have infrared on Jigga, which means that we do have to leave the sighting, because I'm sure you can barely see anything at this point. Just some silhouettes of this little leopard pulling his kill up into the tree. So it's time for us to go. Ideally, I'd prefer it if Shungile was slightly further away from us, although she seems to be perfectly relaxed. Just to see how she reacts to the key turning. The windscreen wipers keep going on Jigga, which is ridiculous because we obviously don't have a windscreen or windscreen wipers. Okay, let's see. They associate the turn of the key and the squeak of a clutch with a vehicle moving, and so far she seems okay. Girl, do you mind if I come past? I just want to leave you. Okay, just let the engine run for a bit, just so that she gets accustomed to the sound, and we'll go the long way round. We'll go backwards rather than forwards past her. Ah, not even a reaction. She didn't even look at us. Alrighty, let's navigate our way out of here. Which is tricky because I can't see too well behind me. There's a tree. Yes, there is a tree. I can't see. And Michael, yes, absolutely, you are right. We have been spoilt with royal family viewings recently, or leopard sightings recently, from the royal family to Anderson, to Quarantine, Tundi. It's been a very special leopard week, which is nice because we kind of went through a stage where we didn't see any leopards. We saw lots of lions, but hardly any leopards. Okay, manage this. While I sneak out of here and past the leopards in the dark, let's go back across to Brent for an update on his side.
Well, since we couldn't find her, Cuckoo! We'll try find an owl. And Dave and I have unfortunately made a pact that while we're on camera together, till we put a Cuckoo on camera, we're going to have to go Cuckoo too many times. So I'm going to try avoid using the word Cuckoo. Now, of course, with a little bit of rain, there could be some frogs out, some insects out that might bring little creatures like a white-tailed mongoose or an African striped weasel out. Now, that would be a proper coup d'etat to see an African striped weasel. I've only ever seen one in the Sabi Sands, and that was on Djuma, but coming down from the gate quite late at night. Oh, just impalas everywhere. Let me put the spotlight up in the air. Don't want to blind the poor impies. Oh, everywhere we look, impala, impala, impala. Now, Nicole in Canada is saying, well, since the animals are so used to seeing people in cars, isn't that dangerous for the animals because of poachers? Well, not here, Nicole. The poachers don't drive around. They have to come in at night on foot. So quite a few poachers end up as lion dinner, I'm sure. But the problem is that the odds of, well, I suppose here at the moment, walking into a lion at night are very high. But at the moment with the rhino poaching, the reward is justified by the risk. Now that might sound terrible, but it's very easy for us to sit and judge the rhino poachers. And one of the biggest things that I think people get very wrong, everyone jumps up and down saying, shoot the poacher, shoot the poacher. That is not the answer to the poaching problem, I'm afraid. Those poachers are often from incredibly impoverished communities. They probably earn, on government grants, etc., especially if they're from Mozambique, less than $10 a week to live off. And they have families and children and that to support. And they're looking at a massive payoff for a rhino horn. So they are people, and they're just trying to provide for their family. Now, to say shoot the poachers. Now, poaching kingpins and the smugglers and the dealers, that's a completely different story. But often the actual poachers on the ground are in a degree forced into these situations where they actually have no other choice. And it's very easy to jump on a soapbox and shout and scream, especially from far away, if you don't actually, especially if you don't understand the actual intricacies of the local communities and of Africa. It's a very complicated place, and a lot of what goes on is not well documented and people don't know about. And as much as rhino poaching is terrible, at the end of the day, it's actually an economic problem. It's not a conservation problem, because if those people had another economic resource that they could obtain, or work that they could obtain, then the risk wouldn't be worth the reward. But at the moment it is. So it's actually a very sad sad thing on all cases, on the human front and on the rhino front. Now, where are the owls? Definitely one of my favourite little birds. So, Dave, what are we going to find tomorrow morning? There we go. Hopefully we can break our cuckoo duck and find some cuckoos. As I said, I'm really hoping to find 2 species in particular, the thick-billed and the great spotted. Of course, it'd be lovely to see any of them we have not seen so far, and they've arrived literally in the last 10 days en masse. Sorry, Wildebeest and Impala, we don't want to blind them, and Nyala. But yes, I'm very excited for the summer birds. As you know, I like birding a lot, and hopefully we're going to get some new species this year for my list and yours. Now, very, very seldom that these days that I get a new bird species, so I'll be on top of the world. But a new bird species for my Sabi sand list would be great. Or even just for my Djuma list, because of course there's quite a lot of birds I've seen in the Sabi sands that I've never seen at Djuma. Things like gorgeous bushrike and scaly-throated honeyguide. And hopefully, if we get a bit more rain, we're going to get some nice big flocks of Amma falcons. And you always got to look carefully for the European hobby amongst them. No owls, no bush babies. Okay, so from Dangerous Dave and myself, it's been splendid having you on the vehicle. Not yet, Dave. Man, come on. Timing is everything. So, as we say goodbye, we're going to say, Cuckoo!
A little bit higher. Hello, everybody. I'm trying to figure something else. Sorry, a bit to the right here. A bit further, a little bit to the back. I don't know how to figure out what this is without going to have a look, and I don't think we've got the time to do it. Just zoom out a little bit. It's not quite so far in. It's on the edge of this bush here. There we go. Wait, hold on. I think that tree's in the way of you looking at there. Just down a little. There. What is that? I'm really hoping it's a chameleon. Just bear with me. I'm going to go forward a little. What on earth? It's a frog. It's a foam nest frog. I got really excited. I thought I'd spotted the first chameleon. Well, it's not a bad spot, I suppose, for a foam nest frog, but it is definitely not a chameleon. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. I got overly excited. Again, it's the second time. Yesterday it was birds, this evening it's been frogs. Sorry, I just had to try and figure out what it was, and I don't have my binoculars. We had to try and figure that one out without VM being able to see where to look. Of course, the search for the chameleon continues. As our sunset drives move further and further into summer, hopefully, at some point, we will manage to see them. I was convinced that was a little chameleon. Next time. Next time. Just try for a bush baby or something else. Luckily, with these drives going into the evening, we get all kinds of exciting nocturnal creatures. So there's lots and lots to look forward to as we go further into summer, and lots of reptiles and insects as well. It will be thoroughly enjoyable for us to get to share in some of the sightings that we might not necessarily enjoy during the winter months. The tortoises, for example, after our little drizzle this morning, should be out and about, and hopefully they'll be out and about tomorrow for the sunrise safari. Well, on that note, it seems as though the afternoon has flown by, and it's the end of the sunset safari once again. So a big thank you to Viam for his wonderful camera work, as always, as well as to Kirsty and to Rebecca in final control, and to our amazing tech team on the ground. And most importantly, I hope that you have all had an incredible journey with us on this afternoon sunset safari, and that you're looking forward to more time spent with the lions, the leopards, and the other magical creature of the Sabi Sand. But until then, it is time for us to say goodbye, so thank you for sending through your questions and your comments. It's been fantastic chatting with you and spending the afternoon in your company, and I hope to catch up with you again on the Sunrise Safari. Bye-bye, everybody, and have an absolutely fantastic day.